Welcome to the Infinity Travel AZ Studios. Today I have Kevin with me again from African Travel. How are you today, Kevin?
I am absolutely fantastic, Cindy, and thrilled to be back. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you with me today. We are going to, well, we aren't. Kevin is going to talk about Madagascar. So please feel free to take it away, Kevin.
Well, thank you, Cindy. And Cindy, I seem to recall last time when we talked about other parts of Africa and mainland Africa, you said then that, the we, and I'm like, absolutely. So we are going to get you to Africa and we're going to do it. And let's all go together. That's what I say. Let's make it happen. It'll be a
I'm
great, great
I'm
trip.
down with that.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, Cindy, yes, what an absolute pleasure it is to be back and to talk about Africa. We do have something really quite special today to talk about. But before we get there, I just always want to remind everybody that at African Travel, our moniker is We Know Africa, purely and simply because it is true. And we love to work with partners like Cindy. As a travel advisor, she knows so much about what you're looking for, what your needs are, what your wants are. She can spend the time with you, plan one trip, plan two trips. Every time she plans that trip, she's going to get to know you that much better so that when something really special comes across her desk, she's like, oh, I know Amy wants to go on this trip, and she is going to call you and tell you about it immediately. So we really, really do believe in that partnership that, Cindy knows all about you. She knows your quirks, your ins, your likes, your outs, and we know all about Africa and the different parts of Africa, and we come together and create this perfect marriage. Because at African Travel, our single focus truly is the continent of Africa and nothing else but. We work with these 17 countries that you can see right here. More traditional safari Africa, and a lot of that, more the safari Africa is what we touched on last time. Today, we're going to do something a little bit special. But before we get there, just always, our roots truly run deep in Africa. Everybody that works for the company is either born in Africa. I myself born in Central Southern Africa in the country of Zambia. Or people that work for us have lived in Africa, or at the very, very least have traveled there extensively. And we are part of the Travel Corporation, which are people like Uniworld and some of the other brands, Uniworld and Insight Vacations and so on. And so these are all our sister brands, all at a very, very high level of service and experience. And with all of us at the Travel Corporation, and very particularly at African Travel, we really do want to make travel matter. We're all about giving back as much as we possibly can, whether it to be the planet itself, to the conservation of wildlife, or of course to the people and the communities in the various countries that we visit. Also very important always to remind you just how big is Africa. So we've got, the United States that you can see here, it can fit into the continent of Africa, certainly 3 times, if not even a little bit more. And it's amazing. And you've got these wonderful islands like Madagascar off the coast there. The whole of the United Kingdom can fit into the island of Madagascar. So this is really an immense, immense continent, a lot of space. And we always absolutely have to really manage your expectations of how much you can see and do in one trip to Africa. And it means that you are therefore going to have to do several trips to Africa, because Cindy and I know there are so many things to see in Africa, and every part of Africa is a little bit different. And I talked about the island of Madagascar off to the east coast of the continent there, purely because guess what? That's where we're going today. So we're absolutely thrilled. I love Madagascar. This is truly, truly that word magical. These kind of superlatives are thrown around all the time, but there are not often when it really, really applies. And magical is an amazing and the perfect image of Madagascar. This is what we call the Galapagos of Africa. I don't know how many of you may have had the opportunity to visit the Galapagos in the Pacific Ocean. So yes, we steal that term and we call it the Galapagos of Africa because 85% of the flora and fauna that are found on the island of Madagascar is found nowhere else on the planet. That is truly remarkable. Cindy, when you look at the island and you see it's only 500 miles off the east coast of mainland Africa, 500 miles in geographical terms is nothing, or biological terms, nothing. And yet all of these animals, all of these lemurs and all of the bird life and so on that we're going to look at in a second, only found in Madagascar, not even found in mainland Africa, let alone any other part of the world. It's truly, truly remarkable to have this absolute cacophony of wildlife, and nowhere else on the planet can you find it. So, of course, in Madagascar, they do have their own language, Malagasy, and the way that we say welcome is Tongasu. Tongasu. I love it. It's almost, it's almost verging onto some of those South Sea islands in the Pacific when we start to get to that, and you see they love flowers in their hair and so on. They do have a very small but very modern airport here, and there are flights. It is possible to fly directly from Europe. You can fly nonstop from Paris into Madagascar. What a lot of people do will be to fly into South Africa and then continue on from Johannesburg, and perhaps do 2 or 3 days in a more traditional style safari, because as you're going to see, the wildlife experience here in Madagascar is really quite different altogether. So here is my recommended itinerary for Madagascar. So the capital city is Antananarivo, and I know that's quite a mouthful, so we're going to make it easy for everybody, and we call it Tana. That's what everybody calls it, just to make it easy. So we always recommend, a night there just to find your feet, get over a little bit of the jet lag a bit, and just take a breath and stop and think about where you are. To me, this is so important in any trip that you do anywhere in the world. You do need to take that time and just stop and think about it. And that's the ideal opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Then moving on to the east coast of Andasibe for 3 nights, back to Antananarivo for a night, down then to the southernmost tip of the island for Mandrare River, and then back to the capital for one final night to finish it all off. You may say, well, why are we doing that night back in the capital in the middle there? The reason for that is because the air connections within Madagascar can be sometimes quite interesting. So we always allow that extra night just as a cushion, just in case. And if we can go ahead and book it and the flight goes, then that's absolutely fine. You can go the day before. And this is not the kind of island where everything is sold out all the time. So many, it's just truly, really undiscovered. So this is, a great place to go if you love to find places where nobody else goes, and you're going to have the bragging rights of when you come home of saying that you have been there. So the capital, Antananarivo, one more time, or Tana as we will call it from now on, is just a bustling hive of color. Color is something that is going to stand out throughout the whole trip to Madagascar. And it's just one of those wonderful places. And whether it be the bustling streets going up to Independence Square, up the staircase, or the amazing foliage. And I don't know how many people have ever had the opportunity to see jacaranda trees. Some people who live in the very, very southern parts of the United States or more tropical areas may get them. I know certainly I'm right now based in Florida, and in the very south of Florida, they do grow. I know when I was born and brought up when I was living in Africa, in Zambia, my gosh, they lined the streets. And when they drop those petals, it's like the streets are purple. They're absolutely magnificent. It's truly incredible. So Madagascar is always and constantly just a riot of color. And Ambobahenga is because Madagascar was 500 years ago a kingdom. So there was a king and the whole royal family, and up on the top of the hill was a royal city, and there are tombs there and so on from the kings and descendants. And this is now a very sacred place. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and they do get pilgrims who still come from all over Madagascar and other parts of the world who come to pay homage to the royal family of Madagascar, who are no longer there. This is now an independent country, and prior to independence actually was a French colony. So the royalty, the kingdom actually goes back, as I say, 500 years. But it's really a great place and absolutely full of history. The people, oh my gosh, the people of this island are wonderful. I'm going to be super honest with you. They're a little crazy, or they're a little cuckoo sometimes, but they are so much fun. This is the kind of island where you've got this capital city that's bustling and crazy. It basically has one traffic light. They live in another time, in another age. It's wonderful. And the people are so happy, they're so friendly, and they just go about their lives. And, it makes us stop and think, wow, that's probably the kind of life that I should be, leading instead of the crazy, hectic lives that we do. So
Yeah.
when you're staying in Tanna, there are several very small boutique hotels. We happen to love Maison Gallieni. Now, everything you're going to do a lot in Madagascar, but particularly in the capital in Tanna, is going to have that French influence. You're going to have wonderful restaurants with a lot of French influence, but also local influences as well, and sometimes a mixture, which is great. But these boutique hotels will often have antique furniture in them. The rooms tend to be fairly simple, but extremely comfortable. And the service is phenomenal. They're so welcoming and they just love to have you there. So this is one of the boutique hotels that we love to work with. So then once you've had a day there and a night and got settled and into understanding where you are, we then like to take you over to the western side of the island. This is the green forest, very verdant, very lush, Andasibe. So we actually do this by road. So it's about a 3-hour drive from the capital city, which is great because it gives you an opportunity to see more of rural Madagascar on the road. And we stop, of course, along the way. So even though it's a 3-hour journey, it's broken up and it's really interesting and really exciting to see. And then we get you into Andasibe National Park. And at Andasibe, you are going to have the opportunity here to be your first experience with the lemurs. Now, I need to tell you, I told you about how all of or 85% of the flora and fauna found on this island found nowhere else on the planet. So indeed, there are 107 species and subspecies of lemurs,
Oh my,
just lemurs, let alone anything else.
that's great.
Nowhere else. It's absolutely remarkable. And they found nowhere else on the planet. So in Andasibe, you'll have the opportunity to see the Indri, and the Indri are the largest of the lemurs. They just have the most amazing faces. It's like you just really want to take one home. Absolutely not happening, but you really kind of do. It's just great. But again, just the variety of wildlife that you get here, whether it be from some of the small things, look at that gecko down in the bottom left here. You would never find this. This is why you have to have a ranger who can find these things for you and see it. Because as you can imagine, it's very still. You would never see it. It blends in so well. Or up on the top, I talked about color being riotous in Madagascar. So the chameleons, another species of lemur. And down on the bottom right here, we've got what is called a fossa. And a fossa is just about the size of a house cat. It is the largest predator on the island. So we don't have lions and tigers or anything like that here. This is the largest predator. But as I said, wow, what a riot of color, and particularly with the birds. There are hundreds and hundreds of species of birds on this island. So this is just a very, very small look at some of them. But they are stunning, and it's just wonderful to learn about them. And reptiles, oh my gosh, again, it's all about color. It's just fantastic. The tomato frog, how aptly named. You don't get anything more apt than that. And the painted frog, it looks exactly like it just walked right through somebody's palette of paint. It's amazing. This is truly a feast for the senses. It's a photographer's paradise. It's so, so wonderful. And this is another species of lemur. So we call this an eye. So it's predominantly active at nighttime, and you will be able to go out at night. And I think I talked last time about how amazing this African skies are at nighttime with those billion points of light shining down upon you, a sky that we all live under, but so few of us ever get to see it in its true glory. So to be able to go out at night and look for eyes, and they are really cool because if you look there and you see its claws, that middle one is much longer. And the reason for that is it goes along the trees and it taps as it goes along, listening for hollow parts.
Oh.
When it hears a hollow, it then takes that claw and it uses it to dig into the tree and dig out the hollow. And then invariably in there, it will find grubs and insects. And it will then use the nail on the claw to dig out the insects. So this is a multi-tool. This is multitasking with one tool. It's absolutely amazing. Nature just never ceases to fascinate me and amaze me.
Right.
And again, in Madagascar, you're seeing things that just are out of the ordinary, just so fantastic, absolutely amazing. So in this area, we love to work with Mantadia Lodge, very comfortable, as we always do at African Travel. When you're out in the bush and on the safaris, you are truly going to be in comfort when you come back. Incredible food, and wonderful, wonderful facilities at all of these lodges. As I mentioned, from Andasibe, we would take you back into Tana, spend a night there just to ensure that we get the flights set up and that there's nothing crazy happening there, that we've got that cushion. And then we're going to fly you down to Mandrare. So it's about a 2.5-hour flight from Antananarivo down to the very southern point of the island to Mandrare. And this is a very, very different topography, as it were, from what we've seen in the Andasibe area. So here we're going to stay at the Mandrare River Camp. It's a tented camp. I was going to use the word rustic. I don't want to use the word rustic because it's extraordinarily comfortable. This is truly glamping, but I love how they've used the tree trunks as a towel rack and things like that. It's a very ingenious use of natural resources in order to make your comfort. And it's right on the river, as the name would imply. And here you're going to absolutely have the opportunity again to discover even more lemurs, including the very, very, probably the best known and most recognized would be the ones down on the bottom right there. They are the ring-tailed lemurs that you see. And but lemurs vary in size and color from the very, very small one up at the top that's probably only about 8 inches long to standing 3 and 4 feet off the ground. So they, as I said, 107 different species of them. And yet again, that color, even though, and I didn't mention Mandrare actually is very different from Andasibe, because in Andasibe I talked, it's going to be that lush rainforest look. In Mandrare, we're now in the dry section of the country. So this is where you're going to see a lot of spiky, thorny style foliage, but certainly, again, still no shortage of color and wonder as you're doing it. And of course, the people. And Mandrare, where the lodge is at Mandrare, it's very close to a village. And they love to celebrate and they love to come and sing. And it's just their way of life. It's not like they have their hand out or anything like that. They just love to love life. And it's so wonderful to meet these people who are truly doing that. This area of Madagascar is also very, very famous for its baobab trees. Now, we did talk, I believe, last time about the baobabs in East Africa. They are throughout Africa. But you know, Cindy, most people don't realize this. There are 8 species of baobab trees. 6 of them are found only in Madagascar. Wow. And the other 2 species are found on mainland Africa. So you actually have 6 different species of baobabs here. And they are predominantly all in the southern area here. So you definitely will be able to drive down the avenue of baobabs. This is just a very small portion of it that we're seeing here on the left-hand side. But it truly, truly is incredible. And it's so, these trees, I think I mentioned before, a lot of people call these upside down trees because it looks like they don't have foliage 8 or 9 months of the year. So this is how they look. And it looks like this is their root system with these massive trunks below them. And of course, my gosh, no trip to Africa is ever complete without sunsets. We have sunsets in abundance, no matter where you go in Africa. But Madagascar for sure, and to come home with images like this is going to be incredible. But I want to share something very, very special and very interesting with you right now. So this is a blue-eyed black lemur, and this lemur's claim to fame is that it is the only primate on Earth, aside from human beings, that has blue eyes. Huh? So it's really cool. So, hey guys, when you go down to your trivia at the pub or at the PTA or at the church hall, or if you're next time this comes up on Jeopardy, it has already come up on Jeopardy by the way, a few years ago, but you will know the answer to it. So it's great. It's really fantastic. And then, it's not only all about forests and animals and so on. If you're going that far, why not at the end of your trip, take 2 or 3 days and just relax. Again, that element of just stopping, understanding where you are, and what you're doing in one of the most magical places on Earth. It's truly incredible. Look at these beaches. Now, most of the beaches are actually all the way up on the northwest side of the island. So by doing the 2 areas that I recommended and then tagging on a beach, you're really going to get great coverage of this island and see many, many different areas of it. And then there is a whole mountain range that goes down the middle. It is possible for us to do something there as well, if anybody does have the time. But obviously with the 10 days that I recommended, plus doing 2 or 3 days at the beach, we're already at the 14 days. And it's been exciting. It's been cool. It's different. So, a lot of, and I know from most of our US clients that 14 days is pretty much the sweet spot, 12 to 14 days.
Right.
So just very briefly, let's take a look at the seasons, and it's something in African travel. We know the answers to all of these things. Best times to go: May, September, October, November, December. The wet season is that January to March. A lot of people love to go in the rainy season. It certainly provides great value. I will tell you that it does get very, very muddy in Madagascar. I'm a great proponent in other parts of Africa. Sure, go on safari in the rainy season because it's going to be okay. It's not going to. You need to be willing to schluck through mud if you're going to go to Madagascar in the rainy season. So that's why I do point that out particularly. And the mountains can be chilly in their very short winter, which is in July and August. They don't get snow or anything, but it can be quite chilly, as in down in the 40s. Nothing particular needed, no particular visas. It's actually issued upon arrival, so it's very easy to do. And the great thing is that currently no vaccinations are required for Madagascar, so no yellow fever or anything like that. So this truly is, wow, look at it. It's just amazing. Gorgeous. The mountain areas. This is actually up in the northeast side of the island. So truly, truly, as I said, I use that word magical for Madagascar. Not only do the two words work together greatly, but it really is true. It truly is the right superlative for this amazing and fantastic, fantastic island. So guys, that's what Cindy's there for. That's why we have the partnership with her. Let's take care of the complicated. Come to Cindy, throw her the curveball. Let's do something really cool, something really fun. And as we say in Madagascar, in Malagasy, miswatra, that means thank you very much. I really appreciate the time today, and we cannot wait to see you and make your dream come true. You all know how to find Cindy. Please call her, contact her, and we can't wait to see you in Madagascar. And with that, I thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, Kevin, that was amazing. You are right. It is a magical looking island.
It sure is. It's truly incredible. It's something that people just never think about, and when they go there, they go, "Wow!" Now, I'm going to be very honest. You need to be if you are nothing but the Ritz-Carlton and the Champagne, this might not be the best place. If you're the Ritz-Carlton and the Champagne, but you don't mind getting in the Land Rover and kind of, going crazy for a little while, and then coming back to your comfort at night, it'll be great. And anything else, you're going to love it. So it definitely does require a sense of adventure. It is out there, but it is so rewarding. Once you take that leap of faith and go, you'll come back going, wow, fantastic, loved it.
I can see why. The birds, the colors, oh my gosh, you are right, truly colorful.
Absolutely. A feast for the senses, as I said.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all this information with me and my listeners today. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for our next adventure, which will be to Rwanda in April.
Sounds great. I can't wait for that either. Boy, another magical destination. So we'll be there.
All right. I'm very excited. Thank you again, Kevin, and I will see you in April for Rwanda.
Sounds great. Thank you, Cindy.
All right. Have a wonderful day.